Alright, so I know the lighting is kind of sort of fucked in this video, but primarily making this video as an update to the fact that I'm aware that there's another lull, quote unquote, in uploads to this channel if you're viewing this from just YouTube and not my Patreon page. I do have a Patreon page and I do have an Etsy, and I do have stuff on my Etsy that is up for sale, and I do have videos up for supporters of my Patreon channel, and if you decide to support my channel, I will start slowly but surely releasing some of those videos from Patreon only subscribers, specifically the Flies Eyes on the Anvil, which I do plan on. I do want to make that as a free series eventually, but right now it is primarily for Patreon users until it makes sense for me to make that free YouTube series. But at the moment, it is Patreon only supporters. Patreon supporter only video. Kind of a mouthful. But having that said, I thoroughly encourage you to go over to my Patreon and support my Patreon. You will get a kickback, and I do have goals of starting several different types of projects surrounding blacksmithing, like podcasts, Q&As with not just me but other blacksmiths. If I can get an interview with any other blacksmiths at the Crucible, I'll try and interview them, as well as anybody else that I can possibly interview. My first interview that I have my eyes on is either Celeste, Chris, or maybe Haruki, if I can. Hiroki? Not Haruki, Hiroki. But Hiroki, I'd have to get, possibly I would have to get a translator for that. I can write down all my questions and just like give them to him, and just like that, just say it in Japanese, and then I can figure it out later, because I'm trying to learn Japanese as well on top of all this shit. I swear I don't have enough time or motivation in the day to get all the shit that I want to get done. That said, supporting my Patreon would actually greatly help, not just my motivation, but when I get to certain milestones, I do plan on getting people to, hiring people to help. So once I get past a certain threshold, when I get myself stable and out of the shit situation that I'm in right now, and I think that's a different video for an entirely different occasion. I might end up doing a live stream Q&A, which is I think it's completely different. I think it'll be a much better experience, not just for me, because I've tried to make that video of trying to explain why I've been absent, and why there's such a big change in content, and it just it hasn't worked out well so far. I need to go in with a script, and I just don't have anything written yet, and I know what I want to talk about. It's just not coherent, and even when I go in with a good starting idea and point and line, it still ends up as a mess. So eventually I'll get around to explaining what happened, but if anyone cares to even ask questions about that, anyway. But yeah, I didn't disappear. I'm still here. I'm still uploading footage, a lot of footage actually. The last video that I recorded was on I think it's called a Makuhito. It's a toothed sword from Aztecian and Mayan civilizations. If you type in Mayan sword into Google, you'll pull it up. I'm working on something like that. Except I do have teeth about this big. This is a finished, more than 90% finished tooth, so it's not like sharpened or hardened or anything yet. But I do have several teeth done and almost ready to get there. I just have to do. I have that many. I need 13 in total done, but I think I've completely finished one, if not two, teeth of the sword. So I have a ways to go. I have 3 and 4 being worked on right now. I'm trying to get them all up to that 95, quote unquote 95% point where they all look like right before the grinding process. I'm going to harden each one at the same time, and then not at the same time, but like one at a time in one big session. And then from there, I'll grind them all in one big session, and then I would have to go out and just start working on whatever, like a piece of wood to fashion it after a cricket bat, basically, and inject the teeth into them there, bolt them in and throw in some epoxy. So that's what I'm working on there with the more recent video, and that was 3 hours plus. I ran out of space on my card on my camera, and I think that was 64 gigabytes, so about 59 realistically on that card. But I plan on going back and continue working on that, and I do plan on working on more of my hammer when I can. The only problem with working on my hammer is that that requires a power hammer, cutting in half, and a lot of forge welding, and I can't exactly do that at the moment. And when I can do that, it's the scheduling's off. They do it every Thursday night, and I honestly can't do every Thursday night because I have errands to run, people to meet, talk to, things like that. Either that, or I'm straight up unmotivated, or I'm editing video, or like life gets in the way. Bullshit, happens. So there's that, and that's why that's the way that is. But I do that hammer is definitely going to motivate me coming in on Thursdays a lot more. Just the fact that I had to go back to the drawing board and actually sit there and be like, okay, I'm gonna have to cut this thing in half, just to get it the way I want it to be. But the thing is gonna look very nice. That hammer is going to, I'm gonna have gold, silver, and nickel inlay for color. And I'm gonna have Nordic runes on one side, inlaid in silver, nickel, and gold. Japanese kanji on the other side. And then I'm gonna have Mexican skulls and artwork on the top. And then on the bottom, I'm gonna have my Blacksmarks stamp, which is a semicolon. So one big dot on one side and a comma on the other. So that hammer is going to be legit as shit. I'm going to make sure that it's legit as shit, but the only trade back is that it's going to be expensive, just for the amount of labor and materials cost and put into it. The Mahakuhiro, though, that sword is being made for a friend of mine who I'm paying back for him helping me through a very dark time in my life, which was right when I was going through the divorce, and I was feeling very, very depressed and suicidal at that time in my life. I did have a 5150 pull-in. That was an interesting experience to begin with, and but I'm glad I made it out onto the other side. Sorry for that edit. Because I turned and the camera fell. But having that said, that was a very hard part of my life, and he helped me through that, and for that I feel like making this sword for him is my way of saying thanks and appreciation for being there for me. He's a very chill human being. I do not know if he wants the public shout out on my YouTube channel right now, but so I'll keep his name quiet for now, but until I know that I have his permission of saying who I'm making this for, outside of that he's a very close friend of mine now, then I'll start, throwing his name out there publicly in YouTube videos and shit. But until then, I'm going to respectfully keep his name out of my mouth and just call him a super close friend, and be very happy that he's been in my life. Not that I can say that about everybody in that part of my life. Granted, if I could say about that everybody in my life, if I could say that about everybody in that part of my life, excuse me, I don't think I would have gone 5150. I would have probably not have been suicidal. But that's besides the point. And I am not saying that out of spite. That's just realistically looking at the situation and saying, yeah, if I had a better support group, then yeah, I totally would have not have been in such a deep pit of depression, probably. But that didn't happen. So here I am, back in the Bay Area, no longer in Los Angeles. Trying to get my legs going on this blacksmithing thing, and you can help me get my legs going on my blacksmithing thing by supporting my Patreon. And I know I've been talking for quite a bit of time up to this point, but if you can please support my Patreon, if you can afford it, I would deeply appreciate it. It would literally mean the world for me. And I kind of want to make blacksmithing my full-time job, because I'm kind of miserable doing anything else. And again, supporting my Patreon would help me make that a full-time job. There are kickbacks. There will be Q&As, Google Hangouts, among several other things that I will continue to thank you with, and show my appreciation for as much as I can. And I think the Google Hangouts will definitely help continue that. And if you decide to support me, start going on your project as soon as I can. Granted, the Crucible this summer is fairly busy, you dig? But because they're really busy, because there's a lot of summer classes and summer schools and camps and shit going on through the Crucible. So if you support me, it'll probably get done on a Thursday. As much as it'll actually incentivize me on going in on a Thursday and producing a video that's more than just a fire poker or a knife or whatever else perks I'm making for Patreon. So having that said, thank all of you. Please consider supporting my Patreon video. I don't know how long this video is right now or what it's going to be cut down to. Having that said, thank all of you for watching and look forward to seeing things with you in the future, either on Twitch, Facebook, Etsy, or whatnot.